Okay, what's up, everyone? So we are going to break down the one and only Michael Vick today. Got a couple of requests to break down Michael Vick, who's obviously a legend for the quarterback position just because of his arm strength and just athletic ability. So thought I'd break it down. We'll talk about some of the strengths, some of the weaknesses, what makes his throw what it is. So first, this one is he throws about 65 miles an hour is what they said. It's a sports science video, so that's what they said on sports science. And from the front part of the throw, what you could really tell is how much rotation that he's able to create in his body. There's a big thing that they talk about a lot in baseball, not as much in the football realm, but having the ability to have hip and shoulder disassociation. That's something that he does really, really well, which makes me say that he had to play baseball at some time because he does such a great job being able to open up his hips, being able to keep his shoulder back, and we'll be able to see that from the other angle a little bit better. But at least from here, you can see where his arm angle is, and it's a little bit lower than some. So he doesn't necessarily have great scapular positioning, but he has so much force generated from his obliques and his core that he doesn't really need a lot from the shoulder. And he creates, you can see how when he comes through, all that force is just automatically just absorbed by that right leg, because for him, is lefty, by that right leg so easily. So a lot of times when you're coming through, I'll see guys have to lean all the way over to the side or not be able to just keep that spine nice and straight. He has the ability to keep that spine very, very straight, and when it comes to his hip, it just goes right onto, transfers right onto his right hip very, very easily and is easily absorbed. So one of the big things that I talked about with both quarterbacks and pitchers is how strong is your front leg, and it needs to be, in order to generate more force, you have to have a lot of strength there. Here we can see another good picture. So notice how his hips are getting going and his shoulders still all the way back, and his hips all the way open here, and his shoulders still, he started moving a little bit, but it's still all the way back. It's still unbelievable ability to disassociate from the hip and the shoulder for a quarterback, and it does create a little bit of hyperextension here in the back, but not bad. And another thing that he does is, I talk about this a lot too, is where you step, and when he lands, he still has his weight. Usually I say more 60-40, you want to have most of your weight back. I would say his would probably be about 50-50. So it's not all the way forward yet, so he can really get a big push off that back leg as he's coming through. Boom, big push off right there to get that hip through, and then he just coils all that up into the arm and then just lets it rip, which makes it look so smooth. And one of the big things that they talked about in the sports science is that he throws it in 0.3 seconds, which is one of the faster throws. The last one here is just right from the side, which is another ability to see how fast how well he can open up those hips. One thing that I also think he can get better on, but I think this also makes him so good, is he doesn't get that hip all the way through. It's almost kind of back a little bit, but it's just because that right leg could just absorb that force so well. It's unreal how well he could just transfer all that weight. You could see so much power getting pushed into that right leg right here, and he just has no problem just absorbing it and allowing it to come all the way through. So that's what makes his throw so good. Again, I would say the things that he'd want to improve on is not having, getting that hip through. I think that would be good. Not having as much of the hyperextension in the back as he's coming through, which again isn't bad. Both those two are not bad. The biggest thing would just be getting that shoulder or arm in a better position, a better slot. It's a little bit low compared to some of the better releases, but it's not a thing that's going to end up to make them not able to succeed. I think everybody has areas that they can improve on, but if he had a little bit higher shoulder positioning, then it would just make it so he could generate a little bit more force and maybe have a little bit more control velocity-wise. Right here, how he throws, he's basically only going to be able to throw deep balls and very hard slants or line drives, stuff like that. You have a little bit harder time with like touch passes, the 25, 30-yard touch passes. But yeah, in terms of rocking it in and throwing deep balls, he'll be able to do that just fine based off of how his mechanics are. So that's a quick overview of Michael Vick and his mechanics, and what he does well, what he can work on. As always, thanks for watching, and see you guys sometime next week.